The courthouse conference room wasn't supposed to feel like a battleground, yet everyone inside could sense the invisible war unfolding. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting a cold glow over the polished oak table that had absorbed years of slammed files, spilled coffee, and whispered threats disguised as legal strategy. Today, that table carried the weight of two lives unraveling. Attorney Grace Caldwell leaned forward, fingers steepled, voice sharp as a scalpel. Every sentence she delivered was precision engineered to slice through the opposing counsel's argument. "Your Honor," she began, tapping a manicured nail on a stack of documents, "my client has demonstrated stable employment, consistent caregiving, and a safe home environment." Meanwhile, across from her, Attorney Reeves, representing the father, shifted in his seat with tightening annoyance. "Objection to the insinuation." "Your client," Caldwell pressed, raising her voice just an inch louder, "has failed to provide financial transparency, has missed multiple supervised visitations, and has yet to account for the discrepancy involving." Reeves slammed his palm on the table. "Are we litigating the custody issue or indulging in character assassination?" Judge Harmon, a silver-haired man whose patience had been sanded down by decades of hearings, lifted a single eyebrow. "Counselors, order." Yet nothing felt orderly. The tension clawed at the walls. Emily Carter, the mother, sat quietly, hands wrapped tightly around a paper cup of coffee she hadn't touched in an hour. She looked exhausted, the kind of tired that burrows beneath the skin and lives behind the eyes. She kept glancing at the hallway door, waiting. For Mia. Her 3-year-old had been in the courthouse playroom with a social worker, drawing pictures of foxes and cupcakes, blissfully unaware of how enormous this day was supposed to be. Or at least Emily hoped she was unaware. On the opposite side of the room, her ex-husband, Daniel Carter, stared down at his clasped hands. His knuckles were white. His leg bounced restlessly beneath the table, and though he tried to look composed, there was something off, an anxiousness that felt heavier than simple courtroom nerves. The clock on the wall ticked with an irritatingly loud rhythm. Tick, tick, tick. Caldwell cleared her throat and slid a new document forward. "As I was saying, when we examined the unexplained." But she never finished the sentence. Because the door creaked. Slowly, softly, as if pushed by the tiniest hand in the world. Every head turned. Standing in the doorway was Mia, her brown curls bouncing around her cheeks, a stuffed fox tucked securely under one arm. Her socks didn't match, one pink, one yellow, and she wore a tiny denim jacket decorated with rainbow patches. The jacket swallowed her small frame, making her seem even younger, even more fragile. Behind her, holding the door open with his nose, was Duke, the courthouse's K9 comfort dog. A massive golden retriever with warm amber eyes and the kind of gentle confidence that made children trust him instantly. A bailiff stepped into view behind them. "Apologies, Your Honor." She slipped out of the room and Duke. But Judge Harmon lifted a hand. "It's fine." And strangely it was. Something about the child and the dog softened the entire room, if only for a moment. Emily stood from her chair. "Baby, what are you?" But before she could cross the room, Mia dropped to her knees and buried her hands deep into Duke's thick fur. The dog sat patiently, tail thumping once, twice against the floor. Everyone expected her to giggle or babble, or do something endearingly toddler-like. Instead, Mia leaned close to Duke's ear and whispered, softly, deliberately, with a seriousness no one expected from a child who still slept with a nightlight. Duke's ears perked sharply. His posture straightened. His head turned, slowly, toward the adults at the table. Attorney Caldwell stopped talking mid-breath. Attorney Reeves froze with his note halfway scribbled. Even the judge leaned forward a fraction, eyes narrowing. Duke stood. His fur bristled, not aggressive but alert, hyper-focused. Every muscle in his body shifted from comfort companion to trained responder. Then he walked past Mia, past her mother, past everyone, and went directly to the father's leather briefcase sitting beside his chair. The room collectively inhaled. Duke sniffed the briefcase once. Again. Then pawed at it firmly. "Why is he alerting?" Judge Harmon asked, voice suddenly stern. Attorney Reeves swallowed. This has to be a misunderstanding." Emily felt her heart begin to race. She knew Duke's training. Comfort dogs didn't alert unless something felt off, emotionally, chemically, or environmentally. Daniel shifted in his chair. "There's nothing in there. There shouldn't be anything in there." But Duke didn't stop. He pressed his nose into the side of the briefcase, then sat back on his haunches. His tail was stiff, unmoving. His eyes darted to Mia as if waiting for her approval. And Mia nodded. A tiny, serious nod that made her look older than 3 years, and yet heartbreakingly small all at once. Judge Harmon motioned to the bailiff. "Open it." Reeves shot to his feet. "Your Honor, this is highly irregular." "Sit down, counselor," the judge snapped. "Now." Reeves obeyed, though his face flushed with anger or fear. Emily couldn't tell. The room felt like it was holding its breath as the bailiff reached for the briefcase. The latches clicked open one at a time. Click. Click. Daniel's breathing hitched. Emily saw it, Caldwell saw it, the judge saw it. And Duke's eyes never left Daniel, not once. The bailiff lifted the flap. Silence. Even the buzzing fluorescent lights seemed to mute themselves. Inside the briefcase wasn't a laptop or files or pens or any of the ordinary contents a lawyer might expect at a custody hearing. Instead, there was a thick, unmarked envelope, a small burner phone with no case, and a folded slip of paper tucked beneath them. The bailiff opened the envelope first. A stack of cash slid out, crisp and unused. Maybe 20,000, maybe more. Attorney Caldwell whispered, "Oh my God." Judge Harmon said nothing, but jaw tightened. Daniel leaned forward, voice trembling. That's not mine. I don't know who put." No one believed him. The bailiff reached for the slip of paper. He unfolded it slowly. One word was written on the center in blocky, heavy ink. "Tomorrow." Caldwell's breath caught. Reeves began stammering incoherently. Emily clutched her chest. Daniel shook his head violently. No, that wasn't supposed to." Wasn't supposed to. Emily's stomach twisted. The judge demanded, "Mr. Carter, what exactly is going on here?" But Daniel's eyes darted from the phone to the envelope, to his daughter standing beside Duke. And something inside him crumbled. Because he knew what was coming next. The burner phone vibrated. Once. Then again. Then the screen lit up with an incoming call. The entire room turned to it like it was ticking dynamite. "Answer it," Judge Harmon ordered. The bailiff picked it up and pressed the green button. A voice crackled through the speaker. "Mail. Distorted. Cold. Is it done? We don't have much time." Emily felt the world tilt beneath her feet. Caldwell covered her mouth. Daniel whispered, "Please don't." But it was too late. Because Duke, the calm, gentle comfort dog who had helped hundreds of children through court trauma, suddenly stepped forward, placing himself between Daniel and the bailiff. His tail stiffened. His teeth showed. A low, rumbling growl vibrated through his chest. The kind of growl that meant one thing. Danger. The lawyers didn't speak. The judge didn't breathe. Emily grabbed Mia and held her tightly. And in that frozen moment, in that silent room, everyone realized the same chilling truth. Whatever Mia had whispered to Duke, it had just changed everything. The room seemed to shrink. Every breath felt heavier. Every second stretched longer than the last. Duke, the golden retriever, remained motionless but alert, blocking Daniel Carter's path like an immovable wall. The distorted voice on the burner phone crackled again, but no one dared respond. Mia crouched down, tiny hands gripping Duke's fur, her brown eyes wide but unwavering. "Show them," she whispered, as if repeating some command only Duke could understand. The dog stiffened and took a slow, deliberate step toward Daniel's leather briefcase. His eyes never left Mia. Then, without hesitation, he pawed at the case, nudging it closer to the center of the room. Daniel's face drained of color. "Mia, no, don't." His voice broke, trembling. Sweat dampened his temples. The bailiff froze mid-step, unsure whether to intervene. Attorney Caldwell's voice, which had been commanding seconds earlier, faltered. "Your Honor, he's indicating something." Judge Harmon leaned forward, silver hair reflecting the fluorescent glare. "Indicating what?" he asked, his voice low, almost fearful, betraying the fact that he had no idea what was about to unfold. Duke barked once, a sharp, controlled bark, more warning than alarm. Then, as if rehearsed, he sat down directly in front of the briefcase, tail stiff. Mia nodded again, ever so slightly, almost imperceptibly. Emily's heart pounded so hard she feared it might burst. "Baby, what is it?" she whispered, her voice trembling. She wanted to shield her daughter from what was coming, but realized that, somehow, Mia already knew. The room was silent except for the low hum of the fluorescent lights and the distant echo of footsteps from the hallway outside. The buzz of anxiety was palpable, pressing against every chest. Daniel tried to speak. It's nothing, just papers, legal documents, nothing dangerous." But Duke barked again, louder this time. A warning, precise, resonant. Everyone in the room flinched. Emily could see the panic flare in Daniel's eyes. His confident, composed facade, the man who had once been her partner, the father of her child, was gone, replaced by raw fear. Judge Harmon finally broke the silence. "Bailiff, open it." His gavel was poised, but the sound of authority was swallowed by the weight of anticipation. The bailiff's hands shook as he unclasped the briefcase. Click, click. The locks opened with unnerving precision. Inside lay a small stack of cash, neatly wrapped, a burner phone unmarked, and an envelope that seemed to radiate danger, its corners crisp and unnaturally pristine. Emily stepped closer, instinctively protective, but Duke blocked her path until she squatted beside him. He nudged the envelope with his snout, then pawed it gently, signaling it needed attention. Attorney Caldwell's face was pale. "Oh my God," she whispered under her breath, unable to hide the horror creeping in. Daniel's lips quivered. It's not what you think," he said, voice barely audible. "No one's thinking," Judge Harmon said flatly. "We're seeing, now explain." Daniel's eyes darted nervously from the phone to the envelope to Mia, who still sat calm and composed as if she held the entire room in her tiny hands. He swallowed hard. I didn't want this. I swear. I never intended." But his explanation died in his throat. The bailiff opened the envelope carefully. Inside were stacks of bills, thick and pristine, bundled with rubber bands, totaling tens of thousands of dollars. Underneath the cash was the burner phone, its screen now lighting up with incoming notifications. And at the very bottom, folded neatly, was a single slip of paper with a single word written in jagged black letters. "Tomorrow." A chill swept through the room. Caldwell's hand flew to her mouth. Reeves whispered something incoherent to himself, packing in short, nervous steps. Judge Harmon stared, hand frozen midair, as if he had just been confronted with a bomb he couldn't see. Emily clutched Mia, pressing her face into her shoulder. What does it mean?" she asked, her voice cracking. Daniel's eyes filled with tears. It's them. I don't know who, but they threatened me. If I didn't," he choked, words failing him. The burner phone vibrated violently on the floor. Its harsh buzz shattered the room's fragile silence. Duke growled low in his chest, fur rising slightly along his back, as if sensing the imminent danger before anyone else could. Judge Harmon motioned for the bailiff to answer. The officer hesitated, hand hovering over the screen, feeling the same inexplicable tension that seemed to hang in the air like smoke. Finally, the call connected. A distorted male voice crackled through the phone. "Is it done? We don't have much time." The room went colder. The words weren't a question, they were a command. Caldwell gripped the edge of the table. "Your Honor, this is." The judge held up a hand. "Quiet, listen." Emily tightened her grip on Mia. The child's tiny hands rested lightly on Duke's neck, calm, steady. Somehow, Mia's presence made the impossible feel almost plausible. Daniel sank into his chair, face pale, shaking. They told me to make sure the envelope reached the courthouse. That if I tried to go to the police, his voice cracked. They'd take everything from me, from us, from Mia. Duke stepped closer, nudging Daniel with a paw, growling low. His eyes glimmered with a protective light, locked on the man who had failed to keep secrets but couldn't escape consequences. Mia leaned forward, tiny voice steady and clear. "Duke says watch." No one spoke. No one moved. The room seemed to contract around the child and the dog, a vortex of tension. Emily's mind raced. How could a toddler, 3 years old, soft and fragile, be the pivot of this entire unraveling? How could her instincts, combined with Duke's training, possibly anticipate what no adult had seen coming? The phone buzzed again, but Duke didn't move. He was waiting for Mia's signal, and she gave it just barely, a slight nod, a tilt of her head. Duke lunged, not at Daniel, not at the bailiff, but toward the envelope. He carefully picked it up in his teeth and brought it to Emily. It wasn't destruction. He was delivering a warning. "Stop it," Daniel yelled, voice breaking. "You don't understand, you don't." But the room had already shifted. Authority didn't matter. Protocol didn't matter. In that moment, a toddler's whisper had rewritten the rules. Emily opened the envelope herself, hands trembling. Inside were more documents than money, papers marked with strange symbols, cryptic numbers, and what appeared to be financial records or codes. She froze. "Oh God," she whispered. Attorney Caldwell leaned over. "Emily, these aren't just documents. These are transactions, coded, hidden." The burner phone buzzed again. A message flashed on the screen. "They know you're here." Emily felt ice seep into her veins. Mia, still clutching Duke's fur, looked up at her mother with an uncanny calm. "Duke says run." Duke's tail flicked once. He lowered his head slightly, protective but ready. Judge Harmon's voice cut through the tension. "Bailiff, secure the phone. And Mr. Carter, you will explain everything immediately." Daniel shook his head, eyes wild. "I can't, they'll," he choked, tears spilling freely. Caldwell stepped back, shocked but analytical. "Your Honor, this is more than a custody case. This is criminal, possibly interstate criminal activity. And this child," she nodded to Mia, "she may have just prevented something catastrophic." Emily felt her body go rigid. Every instinct screamed that the danger was far from over, that whatever Mia had whispered, whatever Duke had understood, was only the beginning. Outside, distant footsteps echoed against the courthouse walls. Someone was coming, or someone had already arrived. Duke growled again, low, steady. His amber eyes scanned the room with a clarity no human could match. He was alert, ready, protective. And Mia, 3 years old, tiny and soft, whispered once more, "Duke now." The dog's ears twitched. He stepped closer to the doorway, blocking any threat. Emily's heart pounded. "Oh my God," she breathed. This isn't over." And she was right. Because in that quiet courthouse room, with a toddler, a comfort dog, and a father who held secrets too heavy for words, the first real domino had fallen. Everything after this, the call, the envelopes, the threats, was just the beginning. And no one, not even Judge Harmon, could have imagined the chain of events that one tiny voice had just set in motion. The courthouse air was thick, oppressive, each heartbeat echoing like a drum in the silent room. Emily held Mia tightly, her body rigid, while Duke sat protectively at her side, his amber eyes never leaving Daniel Carter. The burner phone lay on the polished oak table, silent for the moment, yet its earlier messages seemed to hang in the air, almost audible, warning of some imminent danger. Judge Harmon leaned back, steepled fingers tapping the gavel lightly, though the sound was barely a whisper against the tension that suffused the room. "Mr. Carter," he said, voice unusually calm, "explain what this is. Now." Daniel swallowed hard. His lips trembled and his hands shook so violently that the documents he held threatened to slip from his grasp. It's not what it looks like," he stammered, voice cracking. I didn't mean for anyone to see this." Emily's chest tightened. "Then tell us, Daniel, right now," she demanded, her voice rising above the whispered tension. Mia looked up at her mother, eyes wide, sensing the gravity that no 3-year-old should ever feel. The bailiff, standing nearby, cleared his throat. "Sir, the envelope, the cash, the phone, this is evidence. I need full disclosure before this goes any further." Daniel's gaze flicked to the briefcase, then to Mia and back to Emily. I was forced. He stopped, swallowing hard. "They said they'd ruin me if I didn't cooperate, if I didn't deliver this." His hand trembled as he gestured at the envelope. "Everything in here." Attorney Caldwell's eyes widened as she leaned over to examine the contents more closely. "Your Honor, this isn't just a custody matter. These documents, these transactions," she swallowed. "This could be part of a massive scheme, money laundering, fraud, something organized interstate. I've seen cases like this. This is extraordinary." Daniel's exhalation trembled. "I didn't want to get anyone involved. I didn't want Mia hurt. But they said I had to, or they'd take everything from me. My house, my accounts, even her. They threatened us both." Emily's stomach churned. She pressed a hand to her mouth, trying to steady herself. "Mia, you understand," she whispered, hugging her daughter close. The child simply nodded, her tiny fingers curling around Duke's fur. Somehow, Mia's calmness in the storm felt almost unreal. Judge Harmon's hands rested on the table, knuckles white, his face unreadable. "This is no longer a custody issue," he muttered. "This is criminal. Mr. Carter, you will cooperate fully. Bailiff, secure the room and preserve the evidence." The bailiff nodded, carefully placing the burner phone and the envelope into evidence bags. Duke growled softly as he watched the proceedings, alert as ever. Mia reached down and patted him gently. "Good boy," she whispered. Then Daniel's gaze flicked to the flash drive tucked at the bottom of the briefcase, overlooked until now. He hesitated, fingers hovering. "There's more," he admitted, voice trembling. This is the real problem. The phone, the cash, they're just a warning. The drive, it's proof of everything." Attorney Caldwell leaned forward, curiosity mingling with caution. "A flash drive, evidence of what?" Daniel swallowed, the weight of his confession pressing down on him. "Everything. Names, accounts, transactions, their operations. It's massive. Too big for me to handle alone. That's why I delivered it here. I hoped you'd find it before they did." Emily felt a cold shiver run down her spine. Before who found it? Daniel's hands shook as he opened the briefcase fully, revealing the metallic flash drive. It gleamed under the harsh fluorescent light like a tiny beacon of doom. "Before them," he said simply. "The people who forced me to do it. If they knew I brought it here, if they knew I'd been honest, they'd come for us. All of us." Duke barked once sharply, almost as if to punctuate Daniel's words. Mia patted his head, whispering softly, "It's okay, Duke, I'm here." Caldwell's eyes narrowed. "Your Honor, if this flash drive contains what Mr. Carter claims, then it is potentially explosive. Not just in court, but legally, federally. We may be looking at evidence of criminal organizations, possibly dangerous individuals with reach beyond this city. This isn't just a custody dispute, it's a life-or-death scenario." Daniel's voice trembled further. They said if I didn't comply, if I went to the authorities, they'd hurt me. They'd come after Emily, Mia, anyone who tried to stop me. That's why I hid it here. I couldn't risk it anywhere else." Emily pressed Mia closer to her chest. "You didn't tell me any of this because you were afraid?" she asked softly, though the words barely contained the panic behind them. Daniel nodded miserably. "Yes, afraid. And I thought maybe you'd never find it. Maybe it would disappear like the threats always seemed to." The room fell into a tense silence. Even the flickering fluorescent lights seemed muted as the gravity of the moment settled over everyone. Duke's amber eyes scanned the room, alert and unwavering, his protective presence a silent reassurance to Emily and Mia. Then Judge Harmon spoke, voice low but commanding. "Mr. Carter, the flash drive will be turned over to the authorities immediately. This court is not equipped to handle this. Ms. Caldwell, I want you to coordinate with the proper law enforcement agencies." And he paused, eyes narrowing at Daniel. "You will remain here under supervision. Any attempt to flee will be met with immediate consequences." Daniel nodded, relief washing over his face in a shaky exhale. "Yes, Your Honor, I understand." The bailiff carefully removed the flash drive from the briefcase, securing it in an evidence bag. Duke growled low in his chest as the bag passed, nose tracking every movement, eyes never leaving Daniel or the stranger who might be watching them from the shadows beyond the courthouse walls. Mia leaned down and whispered to Duke, her small voice full of seriousness far beyond her years. "Be ready, they might come." Emily's breath caught. "Baby, what do you mean?" Mia tilted her head. "Duke knows. I told him to watch everyone." Caldwell raised an eyebrow, skeptical but unnerved by the tiny girl's composure. "Your Honor, with all due respect, this child is remarkably perceptive. If Duke is reacting to her cues, then there is a real possibility that the threats Mr. Carter described are imminent." Judge Harmon's gaze hardened. "We will treat this as urgent. Bailiff, secure the courthouse entrances. I want law enforcement notified immediately." And he looked down at Daniel, voice grave. "Do not attempt any further contact with these individuals." Daniel's hands shook. I won't, I can't." Emily held Mia tighter. "Baby, it's going to be okay," she whispered, though even she wasn't entirely certain it would be. The room remained taut with tension. Every eye followed Duke, whose instincts seemed to have shifted the dynamics entirely. He wasn't just a comfort dog anymore. He was a silent guardian, a sentinel standing between a toddler and the chaos that threatened to engulf them all. The burner phone buzzed again. Another message. "You were not supposed to find this." A cold dread ran through Emily's veins. Her hands shook. "They know," she whispered. Caldwell's jaw tightened. "And now they will come. Whoever they are, they know the briefcase is here. They know the flash drive exists, and they will act." Daniel slumped back, overwhelmed. I didn't know where else to hide it. I thought maybe someone would find it, someone who could keep it safe." Emily looked down at Mia, tiny fingers still clutching Duke's fur. Somehow, the child seemed aware of the peril in a way no adult could fully comprehend. Duke growled again, low and threatening. His ears flicked toward the door. The sound of approaching footsteps echoed down the hall, faint but deliberate. Emily's heart leapt. "They're here," she breathed. Daniel froze, pale as the world outside seemed to darken. I didn't think they'd come so soon." Judge Harmon's gavel rested silently on the table, a symbol of authority suddenly powerless against the unfolding tension. Caldwell whispered almost to herself, "This isn't a courtroom drama anymore. This is real life, and it's happening now." Mia looked up, tiny face set with determination. "Duke, protect." And with that simple command, the golden retriever rose, muscles coiling with alertness. a living shield between a toddler and the unseen threat pressing closer from the shadows outside. For the first time in the room, everyone understood. Nothing would ever be the same. And whatever came next, the world outside that courthouse door was about to collide with the fragile yet unyielding courage of a toddler, and a K-9 who understood far more than anyone had ever expected. The courthouse hallway stretched out like a tunnel of tension, the fluorescent lights humming softly, almost tauntingly. Every footstep outside sounded magnified, echoing through the polished corridors. Emily Carter pressed Mia close to her chest, the child's small body trembling slightly, though her eyes remained wide and alert. Duke, the golden retriever, stayed at their side, muscles taut, nostrils flaring. His amber eyes scanned every shadow, every flicker of movement, as if predicting danger before it arrived. The burner phone, now in evidence bags on the polished oak table, buzzed again. Each vibration was a hammer blow to the fragile calm that had settled in the room. The previous message had already unnerved everyone. You were not supposed to find this. Now, a new notification flashed, more urgent, more threatening. Answer now, time is almost up. Attorney Caldwell took a cautious step toward the table, hand hovering over the phone. Your Honor, perhaps someone should. Judge Harmon silenced her with a single raised hand. His face was pale, jaw tight. Do it, he said, voice low, almost defeated. We need to know who we're dealing with. The bailiff hesitated, then reluctantly pressed the green button. A distorted, modulated male voice erupted through the speaker, rough and mechanical. Did you deliver it? The voice demanded. The room froze. Even Duke stiffened, tail low, growl rumbling in his chest. Judge Harmon's voice cut through. We are aware of the items you reference. Who is this, and what do you want? A sinister chuckle echoed through the device. Who I am doesn't matter. What matters is that the package reached the courthouse as expected, but mistakes have been made. The voice dropped lower, almost menacing. You don't have much time. By tomorrow, everything changes, and if the package is compromised. Emily's hands shook violently. Oh my God, they're going to. Duke growled sharply, positioning himself in front of Mia. His instincts had shifted from protective to defensive. He could sense the threat not just in the voice, but in the energy around them. Daniel Carter, pale and sweating, swallowed audibly. His voice shook as he muttered almost to himself. I didn't think they'd come this soon. Mia looked up at her father, eyes wide. Duke says be careful, she whispered. Sweetheart, Emily tried to soothe her daughter, but even her voice betrayed the fear that churned in her stomach. The distorted voice on the phone continued, relentless. Do not attempt to involve law enforcement. They are watching. They know. You cannot trust anyone. The next 24 hours are yours to survive. Fail and everyone you care about suffers. Deliver the package intact, or else. Caldwell's face paled and she turned to Judge Harmon. Your Honor, this isn't just a legal matter. This is a direct threat, potentially lethal. We need immediate federal intervention. Judge Harmon nodded slowly. Agreed. Bailiff, secure all exits. No one leaves. Ms. Caldwell, coordinate with law enforcement immediately. And he leaned forward, voice dropping to a razor-sharp edge. Mr. Carter, remain here. You will not leave this room until authorities arrive. Daniel's head hung low. I can't believe this is happening. Emily's fingers dug into Mia's jacket, holding her close. We're going to be okay, she whispered, though even she struggled to convince herself. The burner phone buzzed again, a rapid sequence of alerts. Duke stiffened, ears erect, nostrils flaring as if he could sense danger in the vibrations. He let out a low growl, his hackles rising slightly. Mia, unshaken, crouched beside him. Duke, show them, she said softly. The dog's response was immediate. He padded toward the door leading to the hallway, muscles coiled like springs. His gaze flicked toward the shadows beyond the glass windows, nostrils quivering. He sniffed the air, then barked sharply. a controlled warning bark that seemed to cut through the room like a knife. Emily's eyes widened. "Someone's coming," she breathed. Daniel flinched, voice barely audible. I told them. I thought hiding the package here would keep us safe. I didn't think they'd show up so soon." A metallic click echoed in the distance, subtle but unmistakable. The hallway camera systems had been disabled, Emily realized with a jolt. Someone was inside the building, moving silently but with intent. Caldwell's mind raced. "Your Honor, we need to barricade this room, immediately, and keep the child and the dog safe. We cannot underestimate this." Judge Harmon's expression hardened. "Bailiff, lock all entrances. No one comes in or leaves, and get me law enforcement on site now." Emily's pulse thudded like a drum. "Mia," she whispered, "stay behind Duke. Do exactly what he tells you." Mia nodded solemnly, her small hands gripping Duke's fur. The child's calm, almost eerie composure seemed to anchor the room, even as the threat pressed closer from unseen corners. The phone buzzed again. Another message scrolled across the screen. "Time is running out. They are closer than you think." Duke barked twice, quick and sharp, his body shifting as he assessed the room's perimeter. He was not just a comfort dog anymore. He had become a living alarm system, a guardian capable of anticipating the unknown. Emily swallowed hard. They could be here any second," she whispered. The sound of footsteps grew louder, deliberate, echoing off the polished courthouse floors. Each step was measured, calculated, the sound bouncing off walls and reverberating through their chests. Duke's ears twitched and his tail stiffened. Mia pressed herself against his side, whispering, "It's okay, Duke, I'm here." Daniel Carter's hands shook. We can't run, we're trapped." Caldwell glanced around, eyes scanning the room for anything that could serve as protection or leverage. "We hold our ground," she said firmly. "We do not engage unless absolutely necessary. Duke's instincts will guide us. Stay calm, stay together." The hallway outside grew quieter, then louder again, a rhythmic pattern that set every nerve on edge. Emily's chest tightened. "They're waiting, they're watching us," she said. A soft metallic click echoed from the corridor. Then a shadow flickered across the glass window of the door. Duke growled, low and threatening, muscles coiled. Mia whispered to him again, "Now, Duke, protect." The dog's reaction was immediate. He positioned himself between Mia and the door, head low, eyes locked on the shadow. His growl deepened, reverberating through the floor. Emily grabbed Mia, pressing her face to the child's cheek. "Baby, stay calm, stay with Duke." Judge Harmon's hand rested on the table, fingers tapping nervously. "We are contained. We will not engage unless necessary," but his voice dropped to a whisper. "We cannot ignore the reality here. They are armed, they are prepared, and they know the room's layout." Duke barked, short and controlled, then padded forward, head low, scanning the hallway through the glass. The shadow moved again, hesitated, then retreated. But Duke's stance didn't waver. He could smell the fear, the intent. Emily's heart pounded in her ears. She could feel it in her chest, a pressure so intense it was almost physical. Mia clung to Duke, whispering soft, unintelligible words. The dog responded to every cue, every micro-signal. Then the phone buzzed again, this time a new message. "They are inside. You have 5 minutes." Caldwell's eyes widened. "Your Honor, this is no longer a warning. They are actively in the building. We need a protocol, now." Judge Harmon's voice was firm. "Everyone stays where they are. The bailiff has secured the perimeter. Law enforcement is on the way. We wait." Duke barked once more, then took a step toward the door, low and deliberate. Mia followed his movement with precision, small hands resting on his fur. Emily pressed herself against the dog, feeling an odd sense of reassurance amidst the fear. And then a sudden sharp noise. A metal object clanged against the floor somewhere in the hallway. Duke's ears shot forward, eyes locking on the sound. His growl became a low, rumbling warning. Mia whispered again, "Now, Duke, now." The dog bolted toward the door with a controlled, explosive energy, placing himself between the incoming threat and the small family. His body tensed, ready to act. Emily clutched Mia, heart-hammering, breath coming in shallow gasps. "Oh my God, they're here." Daniel Carter, pale and shaking, muttered, I didn't think they'd come, not this soon." Outside, footsteps advanced with deliberate rhythm. Duke's stance shifted, muscles coiled like springs. Every second felt stretched to eternity. And in that pregnant pause, the room held its collective breath. Because the first confrontation was imminent. And no one knew who or what was coming through that door. The courthouse room seemed suspended in time. Each second stretched, weighted with invisible pressure, until the approaching threat could no longer be ignored. Duke's growl reverberated across the polished floor, a warning that sent a ripple of fear through everyone. Mia clung to his side, whispering instructions only he could interpret. Emily's fingers dug into the dog's fur, gripping him as if sheer will could shield them from what was coming. Then came the first strike. The door rattled violently, metal scraping against the frame. Duke lunged forward, ears flat, teeth bared, letting out a deafening bark that echoed down the hall. The intruders, three masked figures dressed in black tactical gear, paused, startled by the dog's ferocity. They had expected hesitation, confusion. They had not expected a toddler and a dog acting in perfect synchrony. Judge Harmon's gavel dropped to the floor with a sharp thunk, clattering across the polished wood. "Stay calm. Everyone stay calm." His command barely cut through the chaos. The bailiff stepped forward, drawing his sidearm, but Duke's bark halted him. The dog positioned himself directly between Mia and the doorway, growling, muscles coiled. It was as if Duke understood the bailiff might mistake his movements and that any misstep could be fatal. Emily pressed herself against Mia. "Hold her close," she whispered. "Duke knows what he's doing." The intruders hesitated, shifting cautiously toward the door. Their leader, the tallest of the three, held a silenced pistol, its barrel glinting under the fluorescent light. He muttered a harsh command to the others, low but urgent. Suddenly, the first intruder lunged forward, knife drawn. Duke reacted instantly, a blur of golden fur and precise movements. The knife clanged against the hardwood floor as Duke knocked the assailant off balance, barking fiercely. The second masked figure froze, unsure whether to advance or retreat. Mia whispered again, small voice unwavering, "Duke, now." The dog bolted toward the second assailant, forcing him back against the wall. Emily gasped, heart hammering. Duke's movements were controlled, defensive, but every second counted. One mistake could mean tragedy. Outside, faint sirens echoed, a distant promise of reinforcement. The intruders realized they were not operating in a vacuum. Law enforcement was arriving, but they had only moments to act. Daniel Carter, pale and trembling, muttered under his breath, I should have never brought it here." His voice cracked, heavy with guilt. Attorney Caldwell moved closer to the table, grabbing the evidence bags containing the burner phone and the flash drive. "Emily, move Mia behind me," she commanded, voice steady despite the fear clawing at her chest. "We need to protect the evidence, if they get the drive." Emily nodded, pulling Mia close. The child's tiny hands gripped Duke's fur as if drawing courage from his unwavering presence. The intruders reassessed their approach, realizing the dog's speed and Mia's uncanny coordination made the risk greater than anticipated. The tallest one shouted a command, and two of them tried to flank Duke from the side. But Duke anticipated every movement, pivoting with precision. His growl deepened, a low warning that reverberated through the room. Then came the sound Emily had been dreading, a sharp metallic snap, the handle of one of the intruder's tactical tools breaking against the door frame. The masked figure cursed under his breath, eyes darting to the hallway beyond. Mia's voice, small but decisive, whispered again, "Duke, stop them, protect us." The dog surged forward, placing himself squarely between the intruders and the family. Each movement was deliberate, defensive, a calculated risk to buy time. One of the intruders lunged again, knife in hand, and Duke met him with a controlled, powerful push, sending him staggering backward. Emily's hands shook as she clutched Mia. "Oh God, this is happening right here, right now." Judge Harmon barked orders, though his voice was nearly drowned out by the chaos. "Bailiff, secure the exits. Now, don't let them escape." Outside the room, the distant wail of sirens grew closer. A convoy of law enforcement was moving rapidly, alerted by Caldwell's prior coordination. But inside, time moved in agonizing slow motion. Every second felt stretched, every breath heavy with anticipation. Then, in the midst of the chaos, Daniel Carter spoke. "Wait, wait," he yelled, voice trembling. "There's something else." Emily turned toward him, confusion and fear mixing in her eyes. What is it?" Daniel's hand shook as he reached into the briefcase, fingers fumbling over the edge. The storage unit," he said, voice barely audible. "The drive, it leads to something bigger, something they don't want anyone to know. If they get the flash drive, they'll destroy it all." Attorney Caldwell's eyes widened. "A storage unit? What are you talking about?" Daniel swallowed hard, guilt washing over his pale features. I was forced to handle more than just money and documents. There's a storage unit outside the city. It contains physical evidence. Hard copies, receipts, ledgers, even hardware. If they get to it, it could prove everything." But his voice cracked. "I never told anyone because I was scared. Scared they'd come after Mia." Emily felt her heart hammer in her chest. Scared, and they're here now. Duke barked, low and commanding. His stance shifted toward the door, muscles coiled like springs. He sensed the intruders, hesitation, their fear, and the possibility that the storage unit might be their ultimate goal. Mia whispered again, her small hands patting Duke's neck. "Duke, we need to stop them, protect the drive." Caldwell glanced at Judge Harmon, her voice tense but clear. "We need to move the evidence. Now, if the intruders get this room, we lose everything. The storage unit, the flash drive, all of it." Judge Harmon nodded, though his expression was tight with fear. "Bailiff, help secure the drive. Emily, stay close. No one leaves without Duke's guidance. He's the only reason we have any chance right now." Duke's growl intensified, sensing the imminent approach of the intruders. His amber eyes flicked toward the windows, scanning shadows, sniffing the air. He knew danger was near, and every fiber of his being prepared for a confrontation that could decide their fate. The intruders, realizing the time had narrowed, made a coordinated move. Two tried to rush the door while the tallest one remained near the hallway, keeping watch. But Duke, anticipating the move, lunged with precision, knocking one back into the wall. The other paused, knife raised, but hesitated as Duke's teeth flashed in warning. Emily pressed Mia behind her, trembling. Hold on, baby." The intruders cursed under their breath. One of them tried a brute force approach, swinging the knife, but Duke intercepted, knocking it from his grasp with a precise push. The room was chaos, but every move Duke made was calculated to protect Mia and the flash drive. Daniel's guilt pressed on him like a vice. I should have never involved her," he muttered, voice breaking. "I thought I was keeping her safe. I thought hiding it here." Caldwell cut him off sharply. "Focus. Now is not the time for regrets. If we survive the next few minutes, you can explain everything. Right now, protect the evidence. Protect the child." Outside, the sirens were now deafening, signaling law enforcement's imminent arrival. But inside, the threat was immediate and close. An intruder's shadow flickering near the doorframe, the glint of a weapon catching the fluorescent light. Mia whispered again, her small voice unwavering, "Duke, stop them. Don't let them touch the drive." And Duke obeyed, muscles coiled, teeth bared, ready to defend the room, the family, and the evidence at all costs. Emily's pulse thundered, her stomach churned. And yet through the fear, a strange sense of awe settled in. A toddler and a dog were holding off armed intruders. Against every expectation, against every fear, they were holding the line. But even as Duke prepared for the next strike, Emily knew the intruders would not give up easily. The storage unit, the flash drive, the secrets Daniel had buried, they were all at risk. And the true danger, the one they couldn't yet see, was still coming. Because the first strike had just begun. And what happened next could decide everything. The courthouse seemed to shrink under the weight of impending chaos. Every polished surface reflected the tension in the room. Judge Harmon's furrowed brow, Caldwell's trembling hands on the evidence bags, Daniel Carter's pale, guilt-ridden face, Emily's tight grip on Mia, and Duke's taut muscles as he paced like a coiled spring. Each second that passed was a drumbeat of fear, every heartbeat punctuating the threat lurking just beyond the doors. Then it happened. The tallest intruder, the one holding the silenced pistol, made a calculated move. With a swift motion, he slammed his shoulder into the courthouse door, sending it rattling violently. The hinges screeched, a metallic scream that echoed down the hallway. Duke growled, low and menacing, his body stiffening as he anticipated the breach. Mia's tiny hands pressed into his fur, whispering, "Protect us, Duke." Emily's chest tightened, breath catching. "They're coming, they're inside now." Judge Harmon barked an order, his voice slicing through the tension. "Bailiff, block the entryway. Do not let them reach the evidence." The intruder slammed the door again, and this time it splintered at the frame. One of the masked figures burst into the room, knife flashing. Duke reacted instantly, colliding with the intruder in a powerful, controlled maneuver. The assailant stumbled backward, crashing into a chair, while Duke's growl reverberated like a living warning. Mia whispered calmly, almost eerily, "Good, now hold them." The intruders hesitated. The sight of a dog defending a child with precision and ferocity disrupted their confidence. The second masked figure tried to flank Duke, but he pivoted smoothly, teeth bared, muscles tensed. Emily pulled Mia behind Caldwell, keeping them shielded. Daniel Carter's hands shook violently. I brought this on us. I should have never," his voice cracked. "I should have never gone to the courthouse." Caldwell's sharp voice cut through his guilt. "Focus, Daniel. Now is not the time to regret. Protect the drive, protect the child." Outside, the wail of sirens drew closer, echoing through the hallway like a distant promise of salvation. The intruders knew their time was limited. The masked leader barked a command, gesturing to the remaining figures. One lunged toward the flash drive, trying to snatch it from Caldwell's hands. Duke intercepted instantly. His body collided with the assailant, sending him sprawling across the floor. The dog's amber eyes locked onto the intruders, growled deep and unwavering. Mia whispered again, "Stop them, Duke. Stop them now." Emily pressed herself against the dog, heart pounding. "Hold on, just hold on, baby." Judge Harmon barked again, trying to maintain control over the room. "Everyone stay in position. Secure the perimeter. Law enforcement is moments away." The intruders exchanged frustrated glances. Their precise plan was unraveling, disrupted by a toddler, a dog, and a frantic legal team holding the evidence like a lifeline. The tallest one raised his silenced pistol, aiming toward the table, but Duke's stance blocked his view. The dog's growl intensified, warning that any movement would provoke a decisive response. Daniel's hands shook as he reached into the briefcase. "There's more," he admitted, voice trembling. "The storage unit, the flash drive, it contains everything. Hardware, ledgers, even proof of illegal shipments if they get to it." His words faltered under the weight of guilt. "They'll erase it all." Caldwell's eyes widened. "We need to move it immediately. If the intruders breach this room entirely, we lose everything: storage unit, evidence, the child." Emily hugged Mia tighter. "We can't let that happen, we caw." Outside, law enforcement's vehicles screeched to a halt, officers flooding the courthouse entrance with weapons drawn, shouting commands. The sound was both reassuring and terrifying, a reminder that the danger was real and imminent. The intruders panicked. They realized their advantage was slipping. One tried to flee through the shattered door, but Duke blocked the exit with a single commanding stance. Mia's tiny voice whispered, "Not yet, Duke, protect the drive." The dog lunged forward, forcing the intruder to retreat, teeth bared, growl low and threatening. Emily's chest heaved, adrenaline pumping so violently it made her dizzy. She pressed herself to Duke, whispering, "You're amazing, you're keeping us alive." Daniel Carter's guilt pressed down harder. I thought hiding it here would protect everyone. I didn't know they'd come so soon." Caldwell's sharp voice snapped him out of despair. "Focus, Daniel. The flash drive, the storage unit. We need to secure everything before anyone else can act." Suddenly, the burner phone buzzed again. A new message scrolled across the screen. "You have 10 minutes. The storage unit is your last chance. Fail and everything ends." Emily's heart skipped a beat. 10 minutes? We don't have 10 minutes. Mia's small hand pressed against Duke's shoulder. "We can do it, if we listen to Duke." Duke barked sharply, signaling urgency, then pivoted toward the courthouse exit, eyes scanning the environment. His instincts told him the route was risky but necessary. Emily took a deep breath, heart racing, and lifted Mia carefully. "We follow him, now." Daniel Carter grabbed the evidence bags, hands trembling. "The storage unit, it's outside the city, if we don't get there." Caldwell interjected, voice tight but determined. "We will get there. Duke will lead us, but we must move fast." The intruders, regrouping, realized the family was attempting to escape. The tallest one raised his weapon, but a sharp whistle from outside distracted them. Law enforcement had entered the building in force, creating chaos that Duke used to his advantage. He bolted toward the exit, weaving through obstacles with precision, Mia clinging to him, Emily close behind. The flash drive and burner phone remained secured in Caldwell's arms. Daniel followed, panic-stricken but determined. The intruders hesitated, unsure how to navigate the sudden flood of law enforcement. Outside, the cold wind hit them, courthouse steps slippery with frost. Duke paused, scanning the perimeter, ensuring the path was safe. Mia whispered, "Go, Duke, faster." Emily's heart hammered, lungs burning. "We're so close, just a little farther." The law enforcement officers pursued the intruders, shouting commands, but Duke led the family away from immediate danger, instinct and courage guiding every step. Finally, they reached the car parked near the edge of the courthouse lot. Daniel fumbled with the keys, hands shaking violently. We can make it," he stammered. "We can reach the storage unit before they—" Duke barked again, alerting them to movement in the shadows. Emily's heart froze. The intruders had split, one moving around to intercept. Mia's small hand patted Duke's neck. "Not today, protect us." The dog lunged toward the approaching figure, teeth bared. The intruder froze, then retreated under Duke's formidable presence. Emily and Mia climbed into the car, Daniel following, Caldwell securing the flash drive and burner phone in the back seat. As the engine roared to life, the intruders hesitated, their plan unraveling. Duke leapt into the back seat, muscles tense, positioning himself between Mia and the world outside, eyes scanning for any new threat. Emily exhaled shakily. "We're moving, we're alive." But even as the car sped down the icy roads, adrenaline coursing through their veins, the shadow of what awaited at the storage unit loomed over them. Because Duke's instincts had only guided them to the first line of defense. The real revelation, the secret the intruders were desperate to protect, awaited them at the storage unit. And no one could anticipate what they would find there. The icy wind whipped against the car as it sped along the outskirts of the city. Emily's hands gripped the dashboard, knuckles white, while Mia pressed her small body into Duke's side, whispering soft reassurances only he could understand. Duke remained alert, ears twitching, eyes scanning every shadow, every movement along the roadside. Even the faint rustle of leaves or the distant howl of a coyote caused his head to snap toward the sound, muscles coiled like springs ready to strike. Daniel Carter sat in the passenger seat, jaw tight, his mind racing. "We're almost there," he muttered, voice trembling. "The storage unit, it's only a few miles ahead, but they could be waiting. They could know we're coming." Attorney Caldwell, riding shotgun, kept her eyes on the road ahead, phone in hand, updating law enforcement on their exact location. "Units are converging on the courthouse, Daniel. But the storage unit, that's your call. We can't risk it falling into the wrong hands." Emily swallowed hard, glancing at her daughter. "Mia, you ready to see what's inside, what Duke's been protecting?" Mia nodded, eyes serious, gripping Duke's fur. "I'm ready if Duke is." The storage unit facility loomed ahead, a dull industrial complex on the outskirts of the city. The rows of identical metal doors, slick with frost, reflected the early morning light like cold mirrors. Every detail seemed amplified by the tension in the car, the chain-link fences topped with barbed wire, the security cameras swiveling lazily but ever watchful, and the faint hum of electricity in the harsh winter air. Duke's hackles rose as the car slowed to a stop. His amber eyes scanned the perimeter, nostrils flaring. He growled softly, low in his chest, sensing the residual danger. The intruders were close, perhaps even closer than they realized. Daniel Carter stepped out first, hands shaking as he carried the flash drive and burner phone in a weatherproof pouch. Emily followed, Mia clinging to Duke, who led her carefully across the icy gravel toward the assigned storage unit. Caldwell moved cautiously behind them, phone ready to contact backup. The unit number Daniel had whispered under his breath earlier came into view. Unit 217. The rusted metal door gleamed ominously under the morning sun, the padlock old but heavy-duty. Daniel's fingers fumbled as he retrieved a key card and USB reader he had stashed earlier. "Here goes everything," he muttered, voice barely above a whisper. He swiped the key card, twisted the lock, and pulled the heavy metal door upward. The creak echoed across the empty lot, amplifying the tension. Inside, the unit was far from empty. Rows of metal shelves were stacked with cardboard boxes, crates, and dust-covered filing cabinets. Hard drives, ledgers, and stacks of labeled documents lay haphazardly among electronics equipment, routers, servers, and a collection of laptops, each with security seals intact. Emily's breath caught. This is it, all of it." Mia's eyes widened. "Duke, look." She pointed to a metal crate marked with red tape and bold letters, "Confidential, high risk." Duke barked softly, nudging the crate with his snout as if urging them forward. Emily knelt beside him, heart hammering. "Open it carefully." Daniel unlatched the crate, the metal scraping against the cold concrete floor. Inside were stacks of paper, shipping manifests, contracts, photos, and a small safe. The safe's keypad blinked ominously. Daniel's hands shook as he inserted a code he had memorized months ago, the weight of what they were about to see pressing down on him. The safe clicked open, revealing its contents. Hard drives stamped with serial numbers, folders with financial transactions, and an encrypted laptop, likely containing the evidence of the intruders' larger operations. A photograph fell out onto the floor, a grainy image of a masked meeting, people in suits passing envelopes, hands shaking over stacks of cash. The masked leader's face, partially visible, made Daniel gasp. "Oh God, that's them," he whispered. "That's the people behind everything, the ones who wanted this destroyed." Emily took the photo, feeling a cold chill in her veins. This is bigger than we thought. This isn't just threats or stolen property. This is organized, dangerous, and connected to people in power. Caldwell crouched beside them, carefully scanning the shelves. "We need to get everything out of here. Hard drives, documents, photos, every piece of evidence matters. The moment the intruders realize we've accessed this, they'll come, fast and desperate." Duke growled, low and menacing, ears twitching. He moved toward the entrance, sensing movement just beyond the perimeter fence. His hackles rose further as a vehicle engine rumbled faintly in the distance. The intruders had followed them. Mia's small hand pressed against Duke's neck. "Duke, protect! Don't let them take it." Emily's heart pounded. "They're here, we need to hurry." Daniel grabbed the hard drives, tossing them into a heavy-duty bag. "Everything that proves them, every record, every transaction, we take it all. If we leave even a single piece, they'll erase it." The laptop and files were packed quickly, Caldwell coordinating their movement, calling out instructions to keep the family safe. But Duke's low growl intensified. The intruders were close. He could smell them, feel their intent. Suddenly, the sound of tires skidding on gravel echoed across the lot. A black van screeched to a stop near the entrance, and two masked figures jumped out, weapons drawn. The tallest intruder from the courthouse was among them, pistol aimed, eyes locked on the storage unit. Emily froze, clutching Mia. "Duke, now." The dog reacted instantly, positioning himself between the intruders and the family, teeth bared, growled deep and threatening. The intruders hesitated, clearly unprepared for the ferocity of a golden retriever defending a child with tactical precision. Daniel's hands trembled as he pointed to the crates. "Take the evidence, quick, load it in the car." Caldwell scooped up the documents, the hard drives, and the laptop, tossing them into their cases with precision. "Move, now," she shouted. The intruders lunged, one firing a warning shot that shattered a nearby box, sending papers fluttering like frightened birds. Duke sprang forward, teeth snapping, forcing them to retreat. Emily grabbed Mia, moving toward the car, Duke leading the way, growling and snapping at every shadow. As the family loaded the evidence into the car, Daniel realized something terrifying. The photograph, the hard drives, the files, they weren't just proof of illegal shipments. They contained personal information, names, dates, and connections that could implicate powerful individuals. This was bigger than organized crime. It was corruption running deep into the city's infrastructure. Caldwell slammed the car door shut, heart racing. "We have it all, every piece of evidence, but they're not going to give up. Not now, not ever." Duke barked sharply, ears pricked, muscles coiled. Emily glanced at Mia, whose small hand rested on the dog's back. "We survived the courthouse, but this isn't over." Daniel Carter swallowed hard. "If they find out we have this, if they trace it back, everything will change, and not for the better." The black van's engine roared again in the distance. The intruders were regrouping, preparing for a second strike. Duke growled, low and resonant, alerting them all that the confrontation was far from finished. Emily looked at the evidence in the backseat, heart pounding. "We have proof, everything, but we're still in danger. They won't stop until it's gone, until the secrets are buried again." Mia whispered, voice small but resolute, "Duke, they can't win, not if we're together." Duke's amber eyes glowed in the morning sun, hackles raised, ready for whatever came next. The family was alive, armed with truth, but the shadows of those who wanted it destroyed were closing in. And for the first time, Daniel Carter understood the full weight of his choices. The intruders would not rest, and neither could they. Because the next move would decide everything. The black van loomed in the distance, tires crunching against gravel, its occupants moving with terrifying precision. Emily's hands were steady now, despite the cold and the fear, gripping the steering wheel as Duke sat alert on the backseat, ears pricked and muscles coiled like a spring. Mia clung to him, tiny fingers threading through his fur. Daniel Carter fumbled with the evidence, checking that every drive, file, and photograph was secure. Caldwell scanned the horizon, phone pressed to her ear, voice low but urgent. "They're closing in fast," she said. "Units are en route, but they won't intercept in time. We need to handle this ourselves, strategically and decisively." Duke growled, low and warning, sensing the intruder's approach. His amber eyes glowed with a fierce intelligence, as though understanding the stakes on a level no human could. Mia whispered softly, "Duke, we're counting on you. You have to protect us, all of us." Emily glanced in the rearview mirror, catching sight of the van's blacked-out windows. A figure appeared, aiming a rifle toward them. Heart hammering, she slammed the accelerator, tires squealing on the icy gravel, Duke springing to alert every shadow in the lot. Daniel Carter gasped, they know we have it all." Caldwell barked orders. "Emily, get behind the tree line near the service road. We can use the terrain. Duke, guide them. Protect the evidence at all costs." Duke leapt to the back of the seat, growling and snapping toward the approaching van. His hackles rose as the intruders fired warning shots, bullets ricocheting off metal crates and concrete. Mia pressed herself closer, whispering encouragement to him. Emily swerved sharply off the gravel lot, tires kicking up frozen dirt. "Hold on," she shouted. The van accelerated, skidding slightly, wheels throwing ice into the air. Two intruders jumped out, weapons drawn, advancing cautiously, covering each other with calculated precision. But Duke, sensing the first attack, launched himself through the back window of the car, landing solidly on the ground. His growl resonated across the open lot, the sound of raw determination. Mia gasped, clutching the seat edge. "Duke, careful." Duke charged, intercepting the intruders before they could reach the evidence. Teeth flashed, body low and agile, forcing them to stagger backward. One tripped over uneven ground, the other fired a shot into the air, trying to intimidate the dog. But Duke's movements were unyielding, calculated, every strike designed to protect Mia, the flash drives, and the hard-won evidence. Caldwell grabbed Daniel's arm. "Go, load the evidence into the SUV. I'll cover you." Emily and Daniel moved quickly, Duke trailing them closely, snapping at anyone who came near. The SUV's back doors opened just as the intruders regrouped, circling with weapons ready. Duke barked ferociously, leaping and snapping with flawless precision. The masked figures faltered, unprepared for the dog's intelligence and speed. Suddenly, one intruder broke cover, rifle raised, aiming at the SUV. Emily's heart stopped. "No, don't." But Duke lunged, intercepting the shot with a perfectly timed leap. The bullet grazed the ground and the intruder stumbled, giving Daniel enough time to toss the last hard drives into the SUV. Caldwell slammed the doors shut, sprinting to the driver's side. Emily jumped into the passenger seat and Duke leapt onto the backseat with Mia, growling menacingly. Daniel slammed the SUV into gear, tires squealing as they sped along the service road. Behind them, the van's engine roared, and the intruders pursued, furious and desperate. The cold wind whipped across the open road, every second stretched by tension. Emily's knuckles were white, sweat and frost mingling on her face. "We need a plan," she said. Caldwell's eyes scanned the rearview mirror. "We can't outrun them for long, but there's a narrow bridge up ahead. It's risky, but we can use it to bottleneck them." Duke growled, ears forward as if agreeing. Mia whispered, "We can do it if Duke leads." The SUV approached the bridge, the river below swirling darkly in the cold light. Emily slowed, heart hammering, calculating the perfect timing. Behind them, the van closed in, tires skidding dangerously. The intruders were relentless, their desperation palpable. Suddenly, a flash from the intruder's side revealed a hidden camera in the van. They had been monitoring them, tracking every move. Emily's stomach turned. "They knew every step we were taking." Caldwell gritted her teeth. "Doesn't matter. Duke's instincts are faster than any surveillance. Trust him." As the SUV hit the narrow span of the bridge, Duke's body tensed. He leapt to the driver's side door, growling and snapping, deterring one intruder from attempting to board. The other fired a warning shot, but Duke's presence forced them back, snapping the van into a dangerous halt. Daniel's hands trembled as he clutched the evidence. This is insane. How is a dog, a toddler, keeping them at bay?" Mia whispered softly, "Duke isn't just a dog, he's our protector, he knows." Emily glanced at Caldwell, eyes wide. "We're going to make it, but then what? If they survive this, they'll come back. They'll never stop until the evidence is destroyed." Caldwell nodded, voice grim. "Then we need to make the evidence public. Hard copies, flash drives, everything. Once it's out, there's no going back for them." Duke barked sharply, ears twitching. From the bridge, they could see the van's engine stalling, smoke rising. One intruder attempted to exit, slipping on the icy surface, hands flailing. Duke's growl forced them back, maintaining the line. Emily floored the SUV, tires screeching onto the safe road beyond. Behind them, the van skidded, half the intruders thrown off balance. They were forced to retreat, unable to cross the bridge without risking injury or capture. Daniel exhaled shakily. We actually did it. They're retreating." Mia hugged Duke, whispering, "We won thanks to you." But Caldwell's sharp voice reminded them, "Not yet. We've survived the chase, but the real battle is just beginning. That storage unit, the evidence, it exposes them all. Corruption, crime, the network behind it, now it's our responsibility." Emily turned, eyes scanning the road ahead. "We have to make it public. Every photo, every ledger, every hard drive." Daniel swallowed hard. "If we do that, it'll ruin them, but it could ruin us too. They'll come after us hard." Duke barked, sensing both the danger and the importance of their mission. Mia whispered again, "Duke, lead the way. We're ready." The SUV roared down the road, carrying them away from the immediate threat, but toward a larger truth that could shake the city to its core. Each mile was a heartbeat closer to justice, but also closer to the unknown dangers still lurking. Caldwell's hands tightened around the evidence. "We survived the courthouse, the storage unit, the pursuit. Now we make them pay with the truth, public, undeniable, unstoppable." Daniel nodded, pale but resolute. "No more hiding, no more fear. They wanted to bury this, but we're not letting them." Emily glanced at Mia, who leaned against Duke, small face fierce with determination. "We're a team," she whispered. "All of us." Duke barked, amber eyes glowing in the fading light. His body relaxed slightly, sensing the immediate danger had passed, but alert to the lingering threat. He had led them through chaos, through fear, and now toward truth. And as the SUV sped into the distance, evidence secure, the intruders forced to retreat, Emily understood the final lesson of the ordeal. Courage wasn't just human. Sometimes it came on 4 legs, with a tail that wagged even in the face of death. Mia whispered one last time, "We did it, Duke, together." Duke's eyes met hers, loyal and unwavering, and for the first time since the nightmare began, there was hope, a glimmer that justice, truth, and courage could prevail. Because the story was over, but the impact would echo far beyond them. And those who had sought to bury the truth would finally face the reckoning they had spent years trying to avoid. The chase was over, the evidence was safe, the city would know. And a golden retriever, a toddler, and a group of unlikely heroes had made it happen.